Alright, so I'm gonna show y'all how to make BR loops perfect for Youngboy. I just recently got a placement with him, so I'm gonna show y'all how I would make a loop for him if I wanted to get another one. The placement I got was with my drums, but I have been making Youngboy loops for like a long ass time, so it's gonna be like every other video where I'm just gonna run through the BR loop I made that I can definitely hear Youngboy on, and then yeah, just finish show y'all how I do it and all the steps involved. So yeah, y'all heard the loop in the beginning, and I'm gonna just go through all the steps right now. So the first thing I started off with was this piano bass line. But yeah, it's kind of got a balance to it. That's like the main thing that you want to do, is just make sure your bass line has some kind of bounce. All you really got to do is just listen to like a bunch of Youngboy songs, and then you'll kind of figure out like what sounds good and what doesn't based off of what you've heard. And then when you go to make these loops, it'll definitely become clear like what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, this loop is in D sharp minor, so for the first little bit I'm just bouncing off the first 3 notes of the D sharp minor scale, and then I go up to the 4, which kind of gives it like, it's not like a melodic feel, but like it definitely adds like something different. And at the end I come down to the 5, which is A sharp. I usually do that in my BR loops at like this point in the loop, like halfway through bar 4. I'll just come down to the 5 just because I feel like that sounds good and it's a good way to like loop it back to the beginning. The piano I'm using is Noir on the dark setting, and then I just usually crank this knob like down and this knob up because that makes it sound like hard. That's why it sounds so like harsh. It's because I did that. And then for effects, I just cut the lows with this EQ down here, and then I put like a smidge of reverb just because I don't want it like super dry. The next thing I added was these top notes that you can't really hear. So yeah, that's also Noir, and that's also just D sharp minor notes. Honestly, I was just trying to fill up space with this, which is why it doesn't really add a whole lot to the loop, but it kind of just makes it sound a little more full. Then I got this purity lead. One thing you notice here is I'm using all the like half step notes, which is basically the notes that are like right beside each other in the scale. And that's what gives it that like Youngboy sound, I guess, when you do that. So yeah, you should probably do that. So yeah, like I said, this is from Purity. I think it's the simple sine setting that everyone uses, and I just got this EQ on it. There's a little bit of reverb, and then the stereo enhancer to kind of put it more in the middle, but also kind of widen it a little bit at the same time. And then the last like instrument that I got is this Synth Bass from 3X Kit. Shout out 3X. And yeah, this is entirely following this piano bass line. It might as well be the exact same thing copied over. So yeah, that's all the instruments laid out in the loop, and then everything else, like probably like 60-70% of this loop is just like miscellaneous sounds. Like look at all this stuff. This is all just one shots. So you hear how like even without any instruments, like there's not really any like gaps and stuff in the loop. Like there's still a lot of space being taken up by these like wahs and stuff, and like this is obviously not a full loop without the instruments, but there's no like gaps, and it definitely doesn't sound like super empty. I feel like it's just a good like practice or whatever to just have your miscellaneous sounds take up like a good amount of space. But you also don't really want to sound like you're just like spamming them and like putting them down randomly, so it's kind of like, it's not really a fine line, but like you just kind of have to know when to like chill. Yeah, all these sounds are mainly just on D sharp, and if they're not on D sharp then they're probably on A sharp, because that's the 5th, right? So you can put your miscellaneous sounds on the 5th too, but I wouldn't really recommend putting them on anything that's not the root note or the fifth, because then it'll probably just sound weird. And then yeah, I got the skio scratch. Of course, that's just so hard. Then there's this fill from my sauce, crash. And yeah, that's the whole loop. So yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna play the loop one more time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate all the support on the videos. Yeah, I'll be back with a lot more videos, specifically more like Youngboy type videos. And yeah, hope this video helped. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.